Welcome back to Venture Vibes. In 2025, Malaysia is undergoing an economic metamorphosis. It's not just rising anymore. It's evolving into what could soon be a fully fledged high-income nation. This transformation is driven by long-planned structural reforms, record-breaking investments, and strategic policy moves. Malaysia isn't just heading toward wealth, it's building it. Malaysia's Q2 GDP rose 4.5% year-on-year, slightly ahead of Q1's 4.4% growth. That reflects a balanced expansion across domestic consumption, services, and manufacturing, even as exports slid 3.5% in June. In May, Bank Negara slashed its overnight policy rate, the first cut in 5 years, a strategic move to stimulate investment and consumer confidence. Core inflation remains muted below 2.5%, and public debt is stable near 70% of GDP. Foreign reserves are healthy, providing financial insulation against external shocks. Private consumption now fuels 58% of GDP, supported by rising wages, loan growth, and targeted government stimulus. The services sector expanded over 5.3%, driven by logistics, retail, finance, insurance, food and beverage, and hospitality. Construction surged around 11%, anchored by major public projects like smart city initiatives, expressway links, and green infrastructure. Google's $2 billion data center and cloud region marks one of Southeast Asia's largest tech investments. Microsoft's $2.2 billion plan includes cloud infrastructure, AI labs, and training programs for over 200,000 Malaysians. ByteDance invested over RM10 billion in Johor for AI infrastructure, cloud systems, and connectivity. Malaysia signed a $250 million deal with ARM Holdings, securing chip design blueprints with a goal to build local GPUs within 5 to 10 years. Over 10,000 Malaysian engineers are currently training in chip architecture and low-power processor development through public-private partnerships. These mega investments aren't just capital, they're the bedrock of a new innovation ecosystem. Tenaga Nasional's RM43 billion grid modernization initiative targets key economic clusters like Penang, Johor, and Selangor with smart grid tech and energy resilience. Renewables now cover 22% of the national grid. The government targets doubling that by 2030 and increasing natural gas capacity by 50%. To manage the rapid energy demand, coal-fired output rose 9% this year, seen as a temporary measure in a broader transition plan. Malaysia also initiated cross-border green electricity trading, exporting renewable energy to neighbors via Enegem, boosting regional integration and green credentials. Malaysia exported $16.2 billion in semiconductors in 2024, capturing nearly 20% of U.S. chip imports. In light of looming U.S. tariffs, 25% if unresolved by August, Malaysia is negotiating protective schedules with major tech firms and boosting local export compliance. A new permit regime for high-end U.S. AI chips aims to monitor re-exports closely amid export control pressure. A national data center policy, launching in October. The Johor, Singapore Special Economic Zone officially launches in 2025, offering a 5% corporate tax rate, seamless cross-border travel and business permits, simplified customs and relocation procedures, and is expected to generate over 20,000 high-paying jobs in AI, logistics, fintech, and semiconductors. Johor's state GDP could surpass RM150 billion this year. In Penang, over RM60 billion in foreign investment flows in annually. The state now leads ASEAN in chip packaging and assembly and is scaling into design and innovation. In July 2025, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim introduced a RM100 monthly cash subsidy and capped petrol at RM1.99 per litre for low-income families, redirecting fuel subsidies into direct social welfare. Tourism is recovering fast, with 18 million arrivals in the first half. High-end resorts in Langkawi, Sabah, and Kuala Lumpur beat occupancy records. Medical tourism is also expanding. Microsoft's skilling initiative will reach 200,000 learners, while the ARM deal trains 10,000 chip engineers. These programs include scholarships, boot camps, and advanced university tracks. A digital economy fund is being established with a capital of RM2.5 billion to support local startups, digital SMEs, and AI-centric ventures. Over 30 Malaysian startups have already received funding under this initiative in 2025, with many focused on cloud security, robotics, biotech, and agri-tech. Venture capital interest from Japan, the Middle East, and Singapore has surged. Malaysia is emerging not just as a manufacturer, but as an incubator of next-generation technology. In education, the government has prioritized technical and digital readiness. Public universities now offer specialized degrees in semiconductor design, artificial intelligence, and renewable engineering. Partnerships with top institutions from Japan, South Korea, Germany, and the UK are bringing global academic frameworks into Malaysia's education system. Vocational training programs across rural states like Kedah, Kelantan, and Sabah are creating pathways for youth to enter high-value industries with real prospects for upward mobility. On the healthcare front, Malaysia's private hospitals in Johor, Penang, and Kuala Lumpur are becoming regional hubs for medical excellence. Robotic surgery centers, advanced oncology units, and affordable cardiac care have drawn thousands of patients from Indonesia, Bangladesh, Australia, and even the Middle East. The sector is now worth over RM2 billion annually and growing. Medical tourism, bundled with wellness tourism, is transforming rural resorts into profitable, sustainable healthcare retreats. Infrastructure development is at full pace. The East Coast Rail Link is near 80% completion. The Pan-Borneo Highway continues expanding across Sabah and Sarawak, unlocking economic access and logistics flow in areas previously disconnected. Urban mobility projects like the Penang LRT and Klang Valley BRT extension are scheduled to go live by 2026. The push for environmental responsibility is visible in policies and public behavior. Over 12,000 Malaysian homes have adopted rooftop solar. Urban building codes now require green certifications for commercial high-rises. The government also introduced incentives for circular economy industries, with tax breaks for companies that use recyclable materials, reduce waste by 50%, or adopt net-zero supply chain practices. Malaysia's global diplomatic positioning is also contributing to its wealth trajectory. It has maintained neutrality in great power rivalries, benefiting from both Western and Eastern markets. Bilateral agreements with India, Japan, the EU, and ASEAN are reinforcing Malaysia's export and tech credentials. Free trade agreements like CPTPP and RCEP are already yielding preferential tariffs and broader supply chain access. One key area that's often overlooked is Islamic fintech. Malaysia is leading globally in developing Sharia-compliant digital banking solutions. Islamic e-wallets, investment platforms, and AI-based zakat distribution systems are attracting both local users and international investors from the Gulf and Indonesia. The Syariah financial system is being integrated with blockchain technologies to ensure transparency, trust, and scalability. Malaysia's middle class now makes up over 58% of the population. Disposable income is increasing in urban and semi-urban zones. Home ownership is expanding. Youth unemployment has dropped below 9% for the first time in a decade. And women's participation in the workforce has reached a record 56%, bolstered by government-backed childcare schemes and remote work opportunities in the digital services sector. Social inequality and wealth distribution challenges do remain. Urban-rural income gaps persist. But government redistribution schemes and digital banking access in remote areas are beginning to narrow these divides. For the first time, the average GNI per capita in the states of Kedah, Perlis, and Kelantan crossed $9,000, a psychological milestone signaling convergence with more developed states. While some economies around the world are contracting or slowing due to inflation and war-related commodity shocks, Malaysia is maintaining a stable and diversified growth pattern. The IMF expects the country to sustain a 4 to 4.5% growth rate through 2026, with stronger-than-average regional resilience. All this has not gone unnoticed. In recent months, major global media outlets, from Bloomberg to Nikkei Asia and CNBC, have praised Malaysia as Southeast Asia's most underrated economic success story. In investment reports, Malaysia is now being listed alongside Poland, Vietnam, and Chile as one of the top emerging markets with real long-term potential. Foreign direct investment inflows have crossed RM200 billion since the start of 2024, with much of it flowing into green technology, cloud infrastructure, manufacturing automation.